here shooting people. And as long as we can recognize that, irrespective of what you felt about what the man said.
Yeah, but but you're missing my point, right? My point is that a group of people did not shoot Charlie Kirk. One guy did.
We don't know that, Daryl. Hold on. We don't know that. And that's actually what's being investigated as we're speaking, as to whether this was a whole group that had noticed and what the involvement was of the group he was in that channel with. We really don't know. And you don't know if there's accessories before the fact, accessories after the fact. You just don't know everyone that's implicated in it.
Hold on.
I just want to say one thing, Daryl.
Go ahead, Scott.
For the record, Charlie Kirk also said about someone who was assassinated, he was awful, not a good person. That person was Martin Luther King Jr. He said that December 2023 at an event hosted by Turning Point's political rally. So I said King, who was assassinated, was awful and not a good person. So, he said that about people that were assassinated.
My thing is I'm trying to use very specific words, right? I'm not talking about, a group of people who conspired. And I'm saying one bullet, as far as we know right now, one bullet killed Charlie Kirk, and that one bullet was fired by one person, unless there were 15 hands on the rifle. So one person who we seem to believe is in custody is the one who fired the bullet that killed Charlie. It does not mean that to the people who Kirk may have offended or insulted or, made disparaging comments about, you can't tell people how to feel. Like if you had a neighbor, right? If you had a neighbor who always made noise or who just would tell you that, come out of the house and piss on your lawn and turn your lawn yellow, and something happens to your neighbor, you don't want that to happen to your neighbor. But, let's admit that human beings are human beings, and human beings dislike other human beings. It's not fair. This is just me. It's not fair to tell people what to think and feel, and just start taking stuff off the internet, because that is how conspiracies come to be. All of these sites that are now scrubbing all these really nasty things that Charlie Kirk has said are being scrubbed from the internet. And I would personally like to know why. And I will say again, like I've said, hold on, for the past few days, before June, I had never heard of this guy. I had never even heard of him. I've got no dog in this race. It's funny what is happening. And what is happening is only going to lead to more anger on both sides. That's just my opinion.
I think Beaver came up, wanted to speak. Beaver, do you want to say something?
I'm wondering these nasty things. I don't have any problem with what he said about the pilot thing. If he's talking about the context of DEI, and if those programs were pushing people, I think it was all based on that presumption, like that hypothetical. If they're pushing people through that aren't qualified, and if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna wonder. That's a natural human thing to question.
But not everyone agrees, that Beaver, with the assumption that means the standard was lowered.
I guess you also
you have a flaw in your logic.
That there are black pilots, not only in commercial airlines, but there are black pilots in the military.
Correct.
Black people fly all the time. So when you say it's a natural human thing to wonder if a black pilot,
no, you're misunderstanding that.
Daryl,
I'm telling you what.
You let him just finish for a second and then jump in.
No, I think Kirk was saying if the standards are lowered based on DEI, then people will wonder, is this person qualified to fly me right now? And that in itself is a natural human thing to wonder. So I think things are being twisted, what he said. I think people are hearing words and phrases and then automatically saying, guy was a racist. He was a horrible person. But from everything that I've seen, all accounts are that he's he was a pretty good guy.
You know, just to piggyback, and then Daryl, if you want to jump on this, after the Harvard decision came out on affirmative action and all the evidence and the arguments came out, and you saw how some of these students were getting accepted versus other students, you take a pause and you think, okay, I used to pay a premium for a Harvard graduate because I knew they were the best and the brightest in the country. But now the best and the brightest in the country were not going there. They weren't. That's not who they were educating. So if you're going to pay that premium, what are you getting on your premium? And that came out after that court case, that people were wondering, have these top universities wholesaled themselves in terms of the people that they're graduating, and are they graduating what had that extra premium you would pay for as an employer for the Harvard student. So what Beaver's talking about is one thing, but that definitely translated. It translated to law firms that were hiring out of Harvard Law. I mean, it just does. So whether you're hearing that or not, that part translated.
I want to make sure I understand. You're saying that the value of a Harvard law degree went down?
The value of a degree from the university went down when everyone heard the evidence on what their acceptance requirements were, and the idea that you got the best and the brightest in the country. You were not getting the best and the brightest in the country because they weren't accepting them. And that came out, if you followed that case and you followed the evidence that supported and why they won, you could see, and you could see what came out statistically and what they showed evidentially as they were arguing that case. That's why would I pay an extra $100,000 a year in salary to what I think I'm getting the top in the country, and they weren't educating the top in the country. They wouldn't accept them.
Okay, I got it. I just wanted to
like it or not, Jane, that's.
I'm not liking it or not. I want to understand what you were saying. Thank you.
Well,
That's it.
I'm hearing a bunch of ifs. You know, Beaver just said 3 ifs, right? Like, if it's based on DEI. Beaver, do you have any actual information on the pilot training programs for any major airline?
No, but that's not necessary if you're just.
Okay, no, hold on. So what you did was you went from a three if statement to a then statement, right? So it's like, and yet it's not based on anything, but you said people sewing words together, right? These are not people sewing words together. These are things that he said. If you're going to say that something is a if or maybe or possibility, and it's not based on any information that you actually have, maybe you should go research it and see if these major airlines went out and changed their pilot training programs for DEI, because then if not, you're not standing on solid ground with your assumption. That's all I'm saying.
No, listen to what I said. If DEI across the board in America, where people are lowering standards, whether it's pilots or not, whether it's the Harvard case that was brought before the Supreme Court, where the Asians were having higher scores and metrics and getting denied. So the broader conversation in America, if these things are happening, okay, if it happens, if people throw out pilot a lot, okay, if people are being pushed through, I'm not saying they are or not. I'm saying that's what he was saying. If these things, then a pilot, I'm going to wonder. If they're not there on merit, then am I in danger? I mean, it's just that basic concept.
By the way, the Asian thing, I mean, look, if we just, colleges aren't strict meritocracies, right? People without the highest GPAs get in all the time because they're in marching band, because they can play football. Because if we just went by grades, there would be no boys on campus, and girls that are heterosexual would have no one to date. There's DEIs for boys all the time because women want somebody to fuck that are straight. There's all kinds of stuff that colleges do, right, among qualified applicants to sort of make sure that the community is reflective of a certain kind of social environment. And it's interesting. I looked this up today for another conversation, but on the whole, college admission standards have gone down in the past 12 or 13 years for colleges in general. Elite colleges have gone up. Like Brown has gotten twice as selective over the past 10 years. And the Harvard admission rate is 3.8%. Okay, 3.8%. That's tougher. When I got into my doctoral program, PTS was one of the more competitive grad programs in the field. And they accepted 10%. 10% of the applicants got accepted into the program, 20 people a year. However it worked out, but it was a very selective program. 10% was seen. So Harvard takes 3.8% of the applicants. That's extremely selective.
Scott, look at the evidence from the case. Look, don't blame the messenger here. I'm just telling you there was a fallout.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
About it. You can ask.
Abby, what I'm not saying. Abby,
okay.
I'm not denying, Abby, that somebody got into Harvard, right? That if they admitted 2,000 students, that they did not admit the 2,000 best objective test scores and grades. I would completely acknowledge that. So would Harvard. But that's not what any college does, right? If it was a strict meritocracy, you'd have to not even look at names on applications.
Then go argue that with the hiring partners at the major.
Yeah.
I mean, again, don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you that as a result of that case, it tainted the degree.
That may be the case. That may be the case. I mean, that may be the case. I don't know. I don't disbelieve that people might look at that case and think, what's Harvard degree? Or I'm just saying it's extremely difficult to get in. And universities aren't meritocracies. All Ivy Leagues have legacy students, right? People whose parents are
they always have
mostly white students, right?
I don't know. They always had legacy. That exists. I have a kid who's an Ivy graduate. I can tell you the whole process and going through it. However, again, don't kill the messenger. When the evidence came out, it tainted it. So what Charlie, I was interesting how Beaver said that, because I haven't heard the recording. I'd like to hear it and hear his words. When did he say it? Where do I find it?
About Joe Biden? About Joe Biden should be
that one, and also the one.
Yeah, Abby, just Google Charlie Kirk, Joe Biden, death penalty. It'll come right up. It comes on video with captions.
Okay.
I mean, it's not hard to find. Yeah.
Anyway, Daryl, I understand what you're saying. And it's not that people have to like the message. Again, I think the message is the outrage of assassination. And that's got to be the message from both sides constantly and driven home.
If I can just address.
Go ahead, Arthur.
Beaver really quickly. Just about the pilots and the DEI. That's DEI is lowering the standard, expanding this who's getting interviewed. Simply, that's all it is. DEI is not lowering the standard. It's just making sure that more people get interviewed for the job in that land.
Let's examine that from a critical thinking point of view really quickly, if I may. So you're saying that DEI only has to do with interviews and has nothing whatsoever to do with hiring. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Now, hold on. No. Wait a minute, please. Wait. Hello. I'll give you a chance to respond. Do you have any evidence that says DEI only applies to interviews and does not apply to hiring. What evidence do you have, if any?
Well, how do you separate the two?
No. Sir, if I may.
Question.
And you're not answering. Sir, you're not answering it. You're not answering the question. The question is very simple. It's really yes or no. Do you have any evidence? Now you can say, Steve, I don't have evidence, but this is what I think. Or Steve, I don't understand what evidence is. But your response was, how do you distinguish between the two?
If you want a link, I'll give you a link.
No, sir. I don't want it. Sir, the answer is, I don't want a link. I don't want to be, and you might not have been here a half hour ago when we were talking about Charlie Kirk having debate with college students, and they were constantly looking at their phone. I don't want to look at a link. I want to hear it from you.
Okay, what evidence would you like me to present to you?
And I will answer that, sir. I will answer that, sir. No.
Steve, let me answer.
Sure.
Steve, all I'm saying is, if yes, I can present evidence, I could say these things, but that's just me saying it. It's not bringing facts to the table. But I can say yes, and then you can just accept that. Yes.
I'll rephrase my question. Can you bring any evidence to the table? No. Can you bring any evidence to the table that says that DEI only applies to interviews and does not apply to hiring?
Yes. How would you like me to present that evidence to you, Steve?
English. Let's hear it. Give me your studies. Give me your studies. Give me your statistics. Give me your sites. Let's hear it.
So you want the websites? You want the papers? How would you like me to get that? Want to email it to you?
He wants you in a conversation to be able to quote the source.
Quote the source. Thank you. Quote the source. That's what I want. Quote the source.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the actual source so I can quote it to you because I don't have it memorized, Steve. It's not how I operate. So I'm going to get the information. I'll come back in a moment and I'll present you the source.
That sounds great. Take your time. And what I want you to do is someone is speaking, wait till they finish, and then say, Steve, I've got my sources. I want to tell them to you now. And we'll go ahead and we'll put you right to the front. You got it.
I've been Googling. Can someone help me with this? I cannot find that clip.
Well, I found a description of what DEI.
No, the clip about Joe Biden. I can't find it anywhere.
Sorry. It just.
Norm, Norm, you missed it. She was at. Somebody spoke about 5-10 minutes ago about Charlie Clerk saying that Joe Biden. I forgot. Something horrific.
Daryl, were you the one that had it? The quote.
Yeah, I'm doing something right now. I'll come back in a second.
Okay, and then if you could give it to me, I can find it.
I read you what ChatGPT tells us the DEI's hiring requirements are.
No, well, you can, Norm, if you want, but what I was asking, Arthur came up and made a point that DEI only applies to interviews. It has nothing whatsoever to do with hiring. So if what you found on ChatGPT addresses that, where it specifically says that DEI does not apply to hiring and only applies to interviews, go.
It says the opposite.
Thank you, Norm. That's what I thought.
So here are the key principles of DEI hiring. Diversity, actively seek out and hire individuals from various backgrounds, including different genders, ages, races, socioeconomic statuses, sexual orientations, and abilities. Equity, ensure that the hiring process provides fair access to opportunities for all candidates, regardless of their background. Inclusion, cultivate a welcoming and supportive company culture where all employees feel valued and respected, creating an environment where their unique perspectives are encouraged. Then there's a whole list of practical DEI hiring strategies.
Thank you, Norm. And by the way, I gave Arthur complete license whenever anybody is finished speaking. If he could find the exact opposite, break in and give me his sites. Thank you.
Welcome. Then there's constant checking of, hang on, there's constant, I want to use their words, constantly analyzing DEI metrics to drive improvement.
Thank you. And by the way, all of the critical thinkers out there will notice I never said word one about whether or not I'm in favor or against DEI. The only thing I've said was it absolutely applies to hiring and does not only apply to interviewing. That's all I said.
And I'm asking to see that video because I can't find it, and it's confusing. If you said it was scrubbed, and then you said it's just easy Google, I can't find it. So it's one or the other.
Well, I just came up. I'm getting ready for something, so I can't be in here long. But something became very clear to me as I was listening to this conversation, right? And it's that we all may have different ideas about what constitutes a racist statement. I believe that if you see a person and presume that their capabilities are somehow compromised because of the color of their skin, that is a racist statement to me. And it's possible that the reason that we're not finding common ground is because we have different definitions of the term racist. And so in a way, these conversations end up feeling kind of futile because the idea, I think that is an outrageous statement to make. And maybe we'll disagree about, we can't get to a space of agreeing about how people want to think about and reflect on this time in history, because we want permission to feel and justification to feel that racist tropes, racist statements are okay. And oddly enough, I will fight for you to have the right to do that. You can feel however you choose to feel. I think where this goes wrong is when people try to talk other people out of how they feel. I don't get on a plane and say, wow, this guy is a white guy. I wonder if he's a school shooter. I wonder if that would be outrageous. I wonder if his kids are, that would be outrageous, because it's making a decision about an entire group of people based on their race. Now that may not matter to you. That may not offend you. You may not be disturbed by that. You may not agree that that is a racist statement. So can we just agree to disagree? This thing that we're doing of this cleansing, this redaction it's bizarre. Just say it with your whole chest. Just say it with your whole chest. Just do it and be out and proud and loud and just stand by it.
I will say it.
If it wasn't
nigga,
so...
I will say it, nigga. I will say nigga.
There we go.
Nigga.
Thank you
Nigga.
so much. You proved my point. That's exactly that's where we are. If that's how you feel, if that's what you think, just own that. Harvard has 40% legacy admission. 40% legacy and athletes. Are you kidding me? That means, like, when you look at Yale, you think George Bush, you think, I could go down a whole list of people who are not mental geniuses. But we don't have any problem with those admissions.
Go argue
We're
that
gonna
with
sit
hiring
here.
partners
The
to
answer
confirm
was
Denise.
yes.
I just said, don't kill the messenger here.
It
I'm just
was
telling
that.
you the fallout.
I don't, Abby, you said, when I heard you what you said. You said there's always been legacy.
Yeah,
There's always
and I'm telling you what
legacy admissions are not a problem. Legacy admissions are not a
I
problem.
didn't
It's
say-
the seven black people
Again,
that got
go
into
argue
Harvard.
it with the
Listen.
hiring partners
I
scatter.
didn't interrupt you. I sat and I listened to you. I'm speaking now.
Yeah, but don't put it
If
in
that's
my
okay.
words because I was.
Tell you what, let's hey, hold on. Let's let Denise take as much time as she wants. And Denise, the only thing I'm going to ask, and I'm sure you can comply, don't quote Abby. Just say whatever you want to say in your own words. I'm sure you'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have to. It's we've established it. It's whatever. I just want us to listen. If you can't stand by the words you say, that's your problem. If you're not proud of the words that you say, that's your problem. If you revere someone and there's this effort to scrub every comment, listen, if you say he was a champion for his position, he was an aggressive, outspoken, there are a lot of things that you could say that are 100% true. I think that where we're having the problem is this campaign to persuade me that somebody that says when they see a black pilot, they're not sure if they're going to be safe on that plane is not racist. That is outrageous to me. That's an outrageous thing to say. So if you feel that, we're not going to be aligned. You're not going to convince me. You're not going to persuade me. So then what are we talking about? Just hold on to the beliefs that you want to hold on to, and I'll hold on to the beliefs that I want to hold on to. And we just agree to disagree.
And before we go to Abby and the new people that just came onto the stage, I just want to say for the record, for me, when I hop on the plane, the first thing I think about is how long has it been since the captain had a drink and did he get 8 hours of sleep last night? That's the only thing I give a shit about the captain or the guy that's flying or the gal that's flying my jet.
By the way, I got receipts.
Hang on.
In the
Oh
chat,
yeah, okay. Image, go ahead. Go ahead.
In the chat is the
No, please tell me. Please, my eyesight sucks. Please tell me.
Okay, so I just posted a link to the video.
I don't care about the link.
July.
Just tell me what it says.
July 2023, where Charlie Kirk calls on his podcast for Joe Biden to be.
This is Reverend Scott. I'm sorry, Reverend.
Yeah. This is. I just posted the link to where Charlie Kirk says his own show, Joe Biden should be executed.
I posted it too. I didn't see that Scott had did it, but I posted the Reddit link too.
All right. So
I think it's interesting that Abby seems to be saying she couldn't find it, and yet I just Googled it again, and it's
Daryl,
all
how
over.
old are you?
Why?
Because I'm a lot older and I'm not good with finding.
And she doesn't look it though, because I hung out with Abby in person, and she does
Thank
not.
you,
She
Scott.
doesn't look. She looks like she could Google faster than a 35.
Thank you.
all right. So Abby, did you want to respond?
Just
or
again.
just do me a huge favor. Just do me a huge favor. Don't quote any prior speakers. Just say it in your own words.
I'm
I know.
saying articles I read, talking to people in the industry, and the fallout was the fallout. I'm not promoting it. I'm just stating that was the fallout after that case. With respect to having natural biases, you want me to own one? When I go to the hospital, I get really happy if my doctor is a Jewish doctor. So there's an absolute bias. You can like it or not, I'm going to own it. Okay? It makes me feel good when that happens.
Oh.
When Ronald Reagan was shot, he asked the doctor before he put him under anesthesia if he was a Republican.
Right. I mean, we all have our. So I never asked what the political party is of my doctor, but I definitely have a comfort if that's the case. So
You
there's
know,
bias.
you know what I ask when I see a surgical doctor? How many times before have you performed this procedure? That's what I ask. But nevertheless, Necro, have you spoken yet? JCS, have you spoken yet?
No, I haven't.
And okay, JCS, you're before him. Did you speak or did you want to?
I'm not done. One last thing. And the reason is because
go
they
ahead,
know
Abby.
what their mothers put them through. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, JCS and then Necro, I think, is the order, I think.
It's rare that I don't have something to offer, but much of what I said was in the chat throughout the duration of the conversation, so I'll just leave it there. I got to go to the gym, but thank you.
All right, I show Necro and then Arthur, who we're waiting on, and then Alana. Hi, Necro.
Yeah, I just want to be clear about I just want to understand essentially what specific topic is it all mostly around Charlie Kirk and his legacy, because I know that's been around for the past week.
Thanks. Anything else, or are you good?
Well, I just wanted to clarify that. Is that really what the subject is about?
The subject's about anything anybody wants to talk about. It's an after party. It's a popcorn.
Okay. Well, I mean, to me, since I heard about, it seems like there's been discussion about Charlie Kirk. I mean, to me, I ultimately see is like, you have a lot of people who have, of course, been putting about a lot of the, rhetoric that showed a lot of Kirk's controversial side, ultimately. And to me, and of course, you had Dwayne Johnson's daughter who made a claim that if you don't want people to say, nasty things about you when you're dead, then don't say nasty things while you're alive.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it's like, in general, I'm not a person who feels the impulses to do that, but I think all opinions are valid on the subject. But I think essentially the same people who want the legacy that Charlie Kirk was known for being a person who championed free speech, the greatest way they can insult his legacy is by, like I heard on the news the other day about a story. I mean, I haven't looked at the story, but I heard of like a guy who was apparently arrested for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, which, you might it's like as shit as you think it is.
He got arrested because he went and destroyed part of a vigil. There were people around it, and then there was a thing of like flowers, hearts, and notes. He probably got charged with destruction of property.
Okay. Well, like I said, that if that was the case, but regardless, I have heard people who have said that essentially that people should be in jail online. Like I've seen people on Facebook saying that, people have, should be in prison for celebrating his death. Which is like, you can say it's shitty, but it's like, it's still something that's protected under the First Amendment, like under free speech.
Yeah, and I'll give you my personal opinion, and again, I'm no lawyer, but where you cross over the line, you are absolutely allowed. Unfortunately, if someone died or was assassinated after the fact, you can say, I'm glad they were assassinated, I'm glad they're dead. That's protected. But once you advocate for assassinating or killing somebody in the present day or the future that's currently alive, that's where you step over the line.
Uncle Steve, let me tell you,
Yes.
Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, disagrees with you.
Really?
She single-handedly is overturning Skokie today and says that people will be going after it by the Justice Department for hate speech. David French, he knows his Constitution pretty well, said, this is crazy that hate speech, there's no hate speech exception in the First Amendment. But according to Pam Bondi, there now is. And as Attorney General, she said she will be enforcing it.
Yes. However, we should clarify that hate speech does not require an element of inciting violence or breaking the law. For example, here's some hate speech for you out of my mouth. I hate the Nazis, and I wish that they will all be disbanded. that is hate speech that's protected. But if I say members of the Nazi Party should die or be assassinated, that's where I cross over the line from hate speech to inciting violence. And let's see, who hasn't spoken? We have Lana. Lana? Hi, Lana.
Oh, hi. How are you guys?
How are you, Lana?
I'm good. I'm from London.
Great. I'm from Los Angeles.
See, I love it. We're already connecting across the pond.
Great minds think alike. What would you like to contribute?
Do you know what? I'm grateful to find a room that, celebrates diversity and brings people together. And I'm finding, I'm Jewish. I'm living in London. I just came back from Israel, and I have experienced so much. I hate the word hatred, but there you go. I've had so much challenges in this country from before I left and since October the 7th, and coming back from Israel. And I'm quite a person that stands up and can, normally stands up and is celebrating who I am. And I'm a singer and I run live music nights, and I've never felt, I've never found it difficult to wear my Star of David or, my yellow badge about the hostages or anything like that. But actually, in the most recent times, I have found myself hesitate to say that I was in Israel, or, and it's sad, and it's just felt like I'm just happy to be in a place that we can all be who we are and celebrate who we are and feel okay with it, because in the other rooms on Facebook, not Facebook, Clubhouse,
yeah,
I have felt like I have stood up and said who I am and who I think, but I've had so much hate thrown at me. So yeah, just nice to be here, but I didn't really catch exactly what the conversation was yet, so I'm just going to sit back and listen for a bit.
That's okay. And before we move on, thank you very much. And yes, when I hold, I encourage opinions from all sides of the coin, as long as you're respectful. And if you say something, and I'm not saying anybody has, but if you say something that is either completely stupid or ridiculous, I'm going to stop and call you on it. And by the way, most people do not hate me. Most people think I'm pretty reasonable. They like being in my rooms, with the exception of the Talking Apes. That's a group of people that absolutely hate me. But that being said, let's go to Susanna. Hi, Susanna.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
And by the way, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. So I already know definitely there's a lot of things that I disagree with some people here, but I also believe in free speech and peaceful thought. So disclaimer, I'm a conservative. But some of the reason why I feel just calling out Charlie Kirk as a racist for statements such as the pilot statement, if someone says, I think Black pilots are not able to fly, I would agree. That's a racist statement. That would be abhorrent. But he didn't say that. He said, if I see a Black pilot, I'm going to wonder if he's qualified. And there's a little nuance there. And the nuance is that he's not saying, oh, I think he can't fly because of the color of his skin. He's saying, I'm not sure if he can fly because people are getting jobs based on the color of their skin. And that worries me. I'd rather know that they're getting jobs. If DEI was not in play, then he wouldn't make that comment. And every single comment that I hear about him, that he's racist, if there's more context to it or you understand what he's talking about, I feel that it is pretty much unfounded. And I can see this because his best friend was Candace Owens. And then I also hear a lot of people go, oh, well, if you have a Black friend, that doesn't mean you're not racist. And it's just kind of like, if somebody accuses if something as heinous as racism or being a Nazi, then there's no way out of it, because you're like, oh, just because they do that good thing doesn't mean that they don't. Well, yeah, actually it does, especially when you don't have concrete evidence to show otherwise. But not only was he best friends with Candace Owens, he had her in prominent positions. They worked together, they traveled together, and it wasn't as if he had some sexual kink. They were friends. They were like brother and sister.
Sure, you're not thinking of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, she used to work for Ben Shapiro. She didn't work for Charlie Kirk.
Well, you that's true too. Before Ben Shapiro,
she doesn't know any real facts. She's just here to express her feelings.
But that's not true. Both things can be true, buddy. Because one is true doesn't mean that the other is not. So it is a fact.
That's not what I said. What I said was, I think the thing you're talking about is not Charlie Kirk, because he didn't employ her in any positions. He certainly wouldn't set foot anywhere near her now. She has gone off the deep end.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true. You're misinformed.
She said Dr. Mengele.
Okay, so
all right, hold on. Everybody stop. Susanna, why don't you do us a favor? Because I would love to learn. Why don't you take a couple of minutes if you're near a computer and get some facts about him employing her? Because
well, let me just interject really quick. I didn't say employ. I said worked with.
Okay, worked with. Okay.
And yes, I can do that super fast.
No. There's a huge difference between working with and employ. Look, I work with Marshall on Clubhouse, but I've never employed him, and he's never employed me. So you're right, there is a difference. Yeah.
And they were best friends, and they traveled together. And he wouldn't do certain jobs.
I do want to mention this particular statement.
Sure.
She is noted, Owens, for saying Dr. Mengele's experiments are weird propaganda. She's also questioned the number of people that died in the Holocaust. The woman has jumped off the deep end.
Fair enough.
You don't say that. You don't align yourself with a white supremacist like Nick Fuentes by saying shit like that and expect everybody to take you and expect everybody to take you as middle of the road in the Republican Party.
I don't know that he's aligned
with Nick Fuentes. It also should be stated that if someone says, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to wonder if they're fit. It's an incredibly bigoted statement. It doesn't matter that he might have influenced other things. That's super fucked up to say that because of somebody's skin color, you're going to wonder if they're fucking qualified for a job.
But that's not why. That's not why.
No,
I was saying that's what I was saying, the nuance.
He said, I am on the Republican side. I think Charlie Kirk did an immense amount of good, but we're not going to play this game where Charlie Kirk says stuff like that and we're going to try and reframe it since his death. No, he said it.
I'm not trying to reframe it.
I'd like to add.
You're wrong.
I'm not trying to reframe it.
And it is what it is.
She said it.
You're wondering about the qualification.
And also I wasn't done. Candace was first on the list.
Pilot, and your rationale is some.
You're interrupting me, and you're talking over me. You interrupted me the first time around.
So
I'm a moderator.
He's a moderator.
So in response to the claim of the DEI speculation, right? Do we actually think that jobs that require an education, a qualification, and passing tests, that people get hired through the DEI system? However, that may be the case. They still need to be qualified to be a pilot, to be a doctor, to be an air traffic controller, right? So DEI might be a part of it. However, they still need to be qualified. Would you guys?
However, JCC, you may have missed the conversation between me and Arthur about 10 minutes ago. Did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, let me just bring you up to speed because Arthur's been noticeably quiet since then. Arthur, I see you unmuting, so maybe you can.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, let me just bring JCC up to speed Arthur said that DEI only applies to interviewing and not to hiring. I vehemently disagreed. Norm then brought up the facts word for word. However, not only does DEI apply to hiring as well as interviews, but it applies specifically to hiring. But Arthur, you came off. So do you have anything that backs up what you're saying, that DEI only applies to interviews and has nothing to do with hiring?
So, and one of the things, Steve, is where it initially started, is that interviewing leads to hiring. So I was trying to say this, is that they're inextricably, they're linked together because you don't do one without the other, right? I'm not ignorant enough to understand that they don't coincide with each other, which is one of the things I was trying to actually get out in the beginning. They do work with each other, so I am in agreement with you that it's not what I was trying to actually, the nuance I was trying to say is that you are not required to hire someone because